Hi guys, it's Marshall here. This is kind of impromptu, obviously, but I wanted to discuss something that is kind of prompted with a timeline photo I saw just a few moments ago, and I'll post the photo here in the group. But it has a saying on it. Says there's one irrefutable law in the universe. We are each responsible for our own life. If you're holding anyone else accountable for your happiness, you're wasting your time. You must be fearless enough to give yourself the love you didn't receive. So, codependency, from my point of view, is the survival mechanism, the coping mechanism we used to get through love neglect. And that means we didn't get the love we needed, and we didn't receive the love we deserved. And so we also didn't learn how to love, right? We didn't know what it felt like to be loved. We didn't experience what it is to be wanted, to be desired, to be enjoyed, and most importantly, to be loved for who we are, for our presence, for our simple existence. And so I want to talk about a bit about this, because true recovery and then thriving beyond codependency really depends on our ability, on our understanding, not just the ability, but the understanding of what love is. Now, from here, because we can read books and we can talk to people about it and get all these ideas, but we need to know what it is here in the heart, and what it means to love one's self. Because typically with codependency, the love equation, if we're going to look at it like a math equation, 2 + 2 = 4, codependency's love equation says I'm lovable when X, Y, and Z happens. When I'm worthy of love when I make somebody else feel better. I'm worthy of love when I please that person. I'm worthy of love when I make that person happy. I'm worthy of love when I rescue them from their problem. I'm worthy enough if I fix the feeling, whatever it might be. I'm worthy enough when I do something is really the fundamental equation there. That's not love. But we've got to wrestle with that. Because the feelings we get when we go out there and we please and we fix and we caretake are hits of dopamine in our brain. It triggers the brain's love chemistry, basically, and says, hey, feel this way. And that's something that was conditioned into us, because growing up, we're all like, hey, mom, dad, caretaker, caregiver, I love you and I want to give you some love. And they're like, oh, no. They reject it from us, and we're like, ooh. Or we ask for love. We make what's called a bid for connection, and they're like, you're a burden. Take those feelings away. Stuff that. Get away from me. Go away. Whatever it might be. And they dismiss or criticize or attack it. Or like, you're a burden. Why are you asking me for this? That kind of thing. We quickly figure out, because we're brilliant. We really are. We're brilliant. And our brain's like, I've got to have love to survive. I've got to learn how to navigate this. So how can I get them to love me? Well, we go out and we learn how to please them. Our brain's like, ooh, they like it when we do this, because then they show us positive attention. They show us some sort of affection or some sort of approval. And that approval, that affection, inspires us to feel a sense of love. And that gets us, chemically hooked on this action. And what happens here, there's this concept called intermittent validation that steps in. And what this does is it says, if I do this and I get this, I'm going to keep doing this in order to get this. And we'll fail a lot, but sometimes it'll work. And what that does is it programs the brain to chase after that. That's what people call love addiction. We're chasing that hit of approval, the hit of affection, the hit of inclusion or attention, whatever it might be. And that gives us that sense of we've succeeded, we've finally been loved. Real love has nothing to do with that. Real love has everything to do with a fundamental acceptance of ourselves first, wherever and however we are. So, like in this quote, you must be fearless enough to give yourself the love you didn't receive. The love we didn't receive comes in the form of we weren't loved for our nature. We weren't loved in our pain. We were not loved in our difference. We were not loved in our habits or the things we liked, the things that we were interested in. We were not loved for a simple existence. We were only given little bits of intermittent love when we did something they wanted, or we did something that made them happy. And that robbed us of understanding real love for ourselves. So how do we get back to real love? How do we actually start experiencing this? And this is kind of where the rub comes in. This is where the shit hits the fan, to be blunt. I was talking with an individual last night about this concept of what real love is. And it's all about the pain. It all starts with understanding our pain. It all starts with connecting back to us in the pain. There's no way we're going to be loved or we're going to love ourselves if we discard our pain or we dismiss or ignore it. There's also another factor here with pain that a lot of people don't get into. Okay? That is the story we apply to the pain. If it is not loving to me to apply a story to my pain that robs me of hope or robs me of value, and give an example to this. So I grew up bullied. I grew up excluded frequently from social interaction. And so this pattern in my childhood and teen years led me to create a dialogue or a story about me. I'm not socially acceptable. There's not something here that's right about me. I'm just not wanted that way. That story robs me of actually acknowledging that I am included, that I am valuable, and that maybe I was just chasing after the wrong people and going to the wrong places, seeking out validation, right? But if I hold to that story, I'm not loving myself because I'm imposing on myself a false narrative about who I am. So breaking out of that narrative, that bullshit story that I'm not wanted socially and whatever, that allows me to get in contact with the real pain of like, it does hurt to be rejected. It does hurt not to belong somewhere. But now I can honor that. I can get in there and be kind and compassionate with myself. That's real love in action. That's kindness and compassion to me. If we practice that, we hone and nurture an emotional experience with ourselves, bringing kindness into ourselves and being connected with ourselves, we get a chance to feel loved. And that starts with ourselves, and it starts with doing it with others. So when we're in our codependency, we're out there trying to please someone or try to fix someone or trying to rescue them or caretake them, we're robbing them and ourselves of the ability to feel loved and seen and understood for where we're at. Because that's ultimately what we need. Because that is love. That's loving, that's kind, that's caring to us. There's some big buzzy thing happening over there. Someone's bass. But, that's really pronounced. So, if you really want to get deep with love, you're going to get deep with pain. You're going to go into shadow. And I've felt a real calling to move back into the shamanic aspect of my training and that person aspect of myself. So a lot of that comes into shadow, comes into the parts that we've excluded or exiled from ourselves, calling them back into home, bringing them back into heart, reconnecting with them, and loving them regardless of how they show up. See, love doesn't have, internally, love ought not to have boundaries that says, hey, you got to be a certain way for me to love you. Internally, we need to be receptive to what shows up, and then we need to have boundaries that don't harm us. So like my story about not being socially wanted or viable, that's a violation. That's a boundary violation. My own autonomy on my own sense of value. So I'm respectful of that boundary, so I move it back. It's like, no, I'm not going to treat myself that way. I'm not going to tell myself this story. I'm going to instead respect my value and the pain I might feel, pain or whatever is there. That way I'm receiving that part of myself that is felt exiled. They're like, but I have this story. I'm like, I understand this story, self. I hear you. I love you anyway. And I invite you to maybe give that story up for 5 minutes and let's see what happens there for you. But it's this kindness, it's this kind of generosity and compassion we were not given. We were not given in our pain, we were not given in our mistakes, in our humanness. Our humanness was rejected by the narcissist. It was rejected by the abuser. Because guess what? Humanness makes it inconvenient for them to get what they want. Because now they're somehow, disposed or displaced. Oh, what about me? Well, you're a fucking adult. Go grow up and do your thing. The child does not need to take care of the adult needs. And adult needs need to take care of their own adult needs, that kind of thing. So when it comes back to love, it's really about connecting back to here with love and compassion and kindness with ourselves. Love that's the work of love. That's the work of commitment and loyalty to self. It comes back to pain, and then it also comes back to supporting that positive aspect. Like, hey, I do belong. I don't belong everywhere. Nobody does. But I need to honor and respect that and build in where I belong. Or I need to build in my own dream, in my own power. The thing that really magnetizes me or draws me out. I need to invest in that. I need to respect that. I need to honor that, because that too is love. So it's a balance of accountability and moving ourselves out of pain with compassion, but also moving ourselves through those boundaries, through those limits we impose on ourselves called the comfort zone, so that we can move through, so we can grow. Because love asks us to grow. And sometimes it's going to push us to grow. Because love doesn't like the comfort zone, because most of the time the comfort zone is based on the past, and the past is based on trauma, and we don't want to be there anymore. If we want to truly thrive, then we need to step out of that. And with love, with aligning with ourselves because of the work we've been doing in the shadow, we can align with ourselves in the light, if we want to get real shamanic here, come from the heart and act forward in a way that resonates for us. I've been having that come to me real strongly with business. So I've done a lot of training, a lot of study, and now there's this amalgamation of this coming out of me like, oh, I know what to do my way. I'm not going to do it so-and-so's way. I need to know what it is for me. That's part of love. See, a lot of this isn't about feeling, right? It's about how we're treating ourselves, how we're acting. And so I felt like this would do, a Facebook Live would do this much better justice, and it looks like I was right, because writing all this out was like, oh. So I'm just going to spit it out this way. But I want to encourage you to step out of the story you hold about your pain and reach into loving the pain, loving that part of yourself, calling them home, connecting with them. And then I want to encourage you to look at your comfort zone, look at where you want to be. Make sure, first of all, that wannabe is not about getting love. You don't need to be this or that to get love. Make sure that thing, whatever that wannabe, is about an expression of your love, of your potential. It's something that expands you. It is not something that's going to prove to you something. That way you're in respect for your autonomy and your natural lovability. You're not chasing something at that point. That makes sense. And I want you to take action. Do something that's daring for you in that respect. Something that brings you closer to you, that's in alignment with you, so that you can expand your world and see that you're deserving, that you're worthy, that you're You're valuable. And not just to the world for something you do, but to you. It's like, I like my value. I'm valuable to me because I'm going out and doing something that matters to me. That's not an aspect of love. I'm respecting what I want, so I'm gonna pursue it. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think about this. Share in the comments below what you can see yourself, what pain you're gonna go for, you're gonna bring love into, and then what thing you want to reach towards. And then let's talk about it. Let's see what's there for you. Okay? So, thank you guys for joining me. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk soon.